The relationship between Peter Parker and Tony Stark is so special over the 5 films that Tom Holland has portrayed Spider-Man in the MCU that we needed to see where his journey went and see how does Spider-Man step out of the shadow of his mentor Tony Stark and become the true hero that he was always meant to be. And it's for that reason that Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home are essentially two pieces of the same story. And it's not over yet.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. Surprise, we have some hot off the presses Spider-Man MCU Marvel Sony updates. I wasn't expecting some so quickly, but it's not the best news ever. The CEO of Sony's movie studio just did a big interview with Variety. I'll explain what he said during that because he also explains what's going on with Spider-Man 3, Venom 2, the Morbius movie, and the 6 Spider-Man TV shows that they're currently developing despite all of the stuff that's going with them trying to take Spider-Man out of the MCU. We're doing the giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your best Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 4 theory on the video. You all remember the funny Tom Holland video the other day where he was answering questions talking about Miles Morales crossover in the Spider-Man movies.
Do you think that both Miles and Peter could coexist in the same universe, or do you think Peter would have to die first before they establish Miles? Well, I hope that doesn't happen because I would love to share the screen with Miles. I think that'd be really cool. And I don't want to die because I really love playing Peter Parker. So that would kind of be a bit of a bummer.
The timing of that seemed really weird. Tom Holland isn't going to be releasing any more movies till December, so why is he doing this big GQ spread? Well, it's probably partially damage control on Sony's part because of all this MCU Marvel Spider-Man fallout. So breaking down the new Spider-Man interview with the Sony CEO from yesterday, starting with number 5, fans holding out hope that Spider-Man might be returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be disappointed to hear that the door is closed on that deal. He went on to say that it's a long life, implying that maybe way down the road something could be done about it, but that for now, for the next couple of years, definitely no sharing arrangement would be made. Spider-Man is out of the MCU effectively. He says there's no ill will, quote-unquote, between Sony and Marvel after the two failed to reach an agreement on financing terms for the upcoming Spider-Man movie. They clarified what was going on with that because when the news broke a couple weeks ago, there was a lot of confusion over what Disney was asking for in the new contract and what Sony was willing to offer because that was the big blowout. That was the reason why they both walked away from the table. Disney wanted to co-finance all of Sony's Spider-Man movies. That includes anything Spider-Man related, the Venom movies, the Morbius movie, any other potential live-action Spider-Verse movies, and the animated Spider-Verse movies at a rate of 30% to Sony's 70%. Right now, Sony finances all those 100%, so they wind up earning the majority of the box office money after the films hit theaters. So Disney was asking for a 30% stake in that. They're saying that we'll pay 30% of the cost to make all these films, but as part of that, we also get way more potential profits on the back end if the movies are successful. Sony said no deal, then they both walked away from the table, and that was the end of it. That's when you started hearing the news about Spider-Man leaving the MCU. Number 4, during that interview, the Sony CEO also lays blame for the deal falling through on Kevin Feige being quote-unquote stretched too thin with all the new Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5 projects that Disney has him working on, which I think is complete bullcrap, but his quote reads, "We had a great run with Feige on the Spider-Man movies. We tried to see if there's a way to work it out. The Marvel people are terrific people. We have great respect for them, but on the other hand, we have some pretty terrific people of our own. Kevin didn't do all the work." So that's him trying to say that the Sony people that worked on all the Spider-Man Marvel movies so far are also really good. Like, Sony can still make good Spider-Man movies. The animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a really good example of that. Spider-Man 2 is still one of my favorite Spider-Man films of all time, so it is possible for Sony to make a good Spider-Man film without Marvel's help. But just a little while ago, the Sony people were also saying that Kevin Feige also helped them on the DL with their previous Spider-Man films. So anytime Spider-Man films have done really well or really poorly, everyone is always really quick to place the blame on someone else. The Sony CEO went on to say Spider-Man was fine before the event movies, talking about the Avengers crossovers, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, the Marvel movies they did, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home. Then says, now that we have our own universe, talking about the Venom-verse that they've been developing, he will play with other characters as well. That's him talking about the Spider-Man Venom eventual crossover. Maybe not Spider-Man 3, but more likely Spider-Man 4 or Venom 3, because it seems like they're building up to Venom Maximum Carnage with those movies.
It's building something. No matter what happens, we have to stop him. Together.
For those of you hoping that Sony might sell its studio and Marvel had a chance to get the Spider-Man rights back, he also added that there was no chance that Sony Pictures would ever be for sale. So number 2, he also explains what they're doing with the 6 new Spider-Man TV shows that they're developing at Sony. So that sounds crazy, I know, and you're like, wait a minute, doesn't Marvel have the rights to Spider-Man TV shows? Because all the animated Spider-Man TV shows so far have come from Marvel, not from Sony. Right now, apparently what the deal is that Marvel has the rights to make Spider-Man TV shows that are under 40 minutes in length. So that means half-hour animation. That's where you get to all the animated Spider-Man TV shows that have been airing the last couple of years. Sony has the rights to make live-action hour-long drama television shows. That's how Sony is able to do these 6 live-action Spider-Man TV shows. Although I don't know that all of them are going to wind up being live-action. He didn't say exactly where they would be airing either, whether they go to Netflix or whether they be on regular cable channels or major network TV. But 6 live-action Spider-Man TV shows sounds crazy. That probably means some sort of Venom TV show. That probably means a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse TV show straight up with most of those characters. They talked about doing an animated Spider-Pig TV show.
I'm a photographer for the Daily Beagle. When I'm not pooching around, I'm working like a dog trying to sniff out the latest story. I frolic and I dance and I do this with my pants and my...
You have a live-action Miles Morales TV show, a live-action Spider-Gwen TV show before those characters both show up in the live-action movies with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Because they own the rights to the Spider-Man character in the movies and now live-action TV shows, they have access to over 900 different characters. So when you're thinking about what these live-action TV shows are going to be, just think about their biggest characters that you don't think are going to be in a movie right away. Like, we'll see a new version of the Sinister Six in the movies way before we ever see them on the TV shows. They didn't announce a release date for any of these shows, but I'm guessing if they're just starting working on them now, then it'd probably be 2021 before they hit Netflix or a major network or wherever they decide to put them. And as bad as all this new Sony Spider-Man news is, that does confirm that Marvel can do a what-if animated episode for both of the Spider-Man movies they've done so far, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. Because back at D23, Kevin Feige revealed that there would be 23 what-if episodes, one for each MCU movie so far. So it'd be a different ending, different sequence of events, one of them being Marvel Zombies. We actually got a bigger preview of that with a bunch of teasers. I'll do a breakdown of that sometime in the next couple of days because it looks really cool. So this just confirms that they can continue to use Spider-Man in those half-hour animated episodes, just not in the MCU movies anymore. You guys can let me know in the comments, though, which live-action shows do you think they're actually going to wind up doing? In number 1, probably the biggest question after this giant interview is if the Sony CEO is saying that it's going to be a long time before they ever come back to the table, what does that mean for Avengers 5, Spider-Man 4, Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, and everything that they've been setting up with him being the heir apparent to Iron Man, especially through the Edith glasses? He has access to this giant orbital weapons platform. Are they just going to ignore that in future movies? How are they going to reference Spider-Man? Because now it sounds like even though they'll be able to use some of the characters that they shared in some of the storylines, there's no way that Marvel is going to let Sony go off on its own and use Iron Man stuff because that's their A player. No big Avengers characters showing up in the Sony movies, and Sony is also probably going to try and do everything it can to prevent Spider-Man stuff from showing up in future Marvel movies. Everybody, post your theories and your reactions in the comments below. This is just the beginning of it. I'm sure that the drama will continue, but I'll be doing Venom 2 videos as they start to shoot that in the next month. We have the Joker movie coming up. I'll do more videos for that. We also have all the Disney Plus stuff ramping up later this year. If you're a big Rick and Morty fan, Rick and Morty Season 4 is going to be coming. So there is some good stuff coming, despite all the bad Spider-Man news. While you wait for everything, click here to re-watch that funny Tom Holland video, and click here to watch Robert Pattinson explain the Batman movie. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.